You know what? I actually meant to record a video on this, but I just wanted to wait until the news kind of died down on it. I don't know if this video will get as many views as it would have if I would have posted it last week, but I think I chimed in on the Roseanne during a live stream. But the big question that everybody has been asking, several people actually wanted my thoughts on this, was ABC going too far when they canceled the show? And let me just put it this way. Even though the scenarios of both of these situations I'm about to describe are kind of different, you have to look at it from the same perspective. So you have Roseanne Barr, who tweeted some racist things on Twitter, I believe, to a former person from the Barack Obama days in the presidency. I'm sorry, like, what has it been, like a week or 2 weeks since the news dropped? So I have forgotten the minor details about the major situation, but long story short, I believe she called a black woman, like, Planet of the Apes or something like that, and then within the span of not even 12 hours her show got canceled. And the big debate is, whether or not the country is being too sensitive, or we jump to conclusions. What if the show still went on without the Roseanne character and things like that? Now let me just put it this way. You have the Roseanne situation there, and I believe another white female comedian, was it last year? Kathy Griffin, I believe is her name. I know redhead. I've actually seen her and stuff when I was growing up. And what did she have, like the severed head of Donald Trump and holding it, and then the backlash was wow. Like, that literally destroyed her career. And what was it, like a point where she couldn't even perform in the US? And I actually saw like a 4-minute interview on Entertainment Tonight. They had a clip on the YouTube channel, and it was about her, rekindling her career. And I did like how she said that, Cat Williams called her up that same day of, when her world was falling apart. And it was like, look, here's some advice. I want you to get a piece of paper out and then write down the names of all the people that call you today, because those are who your real friends are. And I think she said only maybe 3 or 4 people called, Kat being one, her mother being another, and maybe 1 or 2 other people. But I'm glad that her career is coming back. I believe she said she was like, I call like the Laugh Factory and all these other places I used to do shows at. What's your worst time? Like, I'll do it. And she's coming back, of her own thing. And to be honest, I get it. Like they always say, comedians don't have a filter. Comedians shouldn't be held with such accountability. But the thing is, I think Charlemagne from the Breakfast Club, as well as various other media people, have said the phrase, everyone is entitled to free speech, but you aren't free from the consequences of what you say. I believe that's what they've been saying over and over again, and I absolutely agree with that, because free speech, hey, we are entitled or have the ability to say whatever we want, but at the same time, that doesn't mean you're exempt from the consequences of what you said. Do I think the severed head was a bit much? Yeah, not to say that people weren't doing derogatory things about Barack Obama during his run in office for 8 years, but at the same time, it's like, when you do something like that in a platform, when you're a celebrity, backlash is coming. But my gosh, it's like that they literally just, it was kind of like the whole Paula Deen thing with the N-word, like, that literally destroyed her career. But when it comes to Roseanne, I look at it this way. Think about, even though these are 2 different scenarios, we have one being a racist tweet, and then another, I'm talking about sexual allegations. We're still in the cusp of the Me Too and Time's Up movement. When, let's say, somebody like a Russell Simmons or Morgan Freeman, I believe is like the most recent person accused. You look at these people, and it doesn't look good, because they actually have like video evidence of interviews, stuff like that. But let's just say it's a successful black celebrity, be it in music, movies, CEO of a company, or whatever the case may be. If some woman comes out of the woodworks from like 5, 10 plus years ago and says, so-and-so did this to me, that literally ruins that person's career. They have to step down from being CEO of their company. They aren't invited to like movie events and all this other stuff. So that black man that's been accused, not found guilty, is in a position where they're either losing money or they lost their job or they aren't able to do this or join this exclusive club. But just because they were accused, they lost a lot of endorsements or whatnot. So if a man, whether it be, you know, black man or like Harvey Weinstein, he's been kicked out of all like those exclusive movie directors clubs and all he was in. You just look at it from that perspective. If a man is able to be pretty much destroyed both in terms of their reputation as well as their wallet because of an allegation from years ago, which hasn't even been fully investigated yet, then how come a white woman who tweeted a racist tweet on Twitter and within the span of several hours it went viral is fired from her job, as well as, well, not just fired, but her show being canceled? I mean, where's the I guess you could say, where's the difference if you want to put it in that perspective? The only difference I can really see is the fact that the evidence is right there. Roseanne put it on Twitter. She tried to apologize and whatnot, but it wasn't enough. And some people I've been talking, because I love people I can just have open conversations with in terms of there's no, even if we disagree, we have a healthy conversation. What if the president of ABC wasn't black? I believe is a black African-American female who's the new president of ABC, and literally like that, the show was gone. Some people have been talking about what if it was a white person in charge of ABC, would the show have been canceled and done so as quickly as it was? That is a very interesting question, because some people ask whether or not ABC did it because it was completely wrong for Roseanne to do what she did, or was it a scenario of because the president of ABC was a African-American, and then the fact that the star of ABC's #1 show at the time pulled a racist tweet out of their phone, well, excuse me, tweeted something racist about another African-American woman, and that's why the show got canceled. I don't know, but all I'm saying is this: the fact that America in general was in an uproar about it, that actually is a good thing. But then you also look at the fact that there are comedians out there that talk about presidents, people in their staff and whatnot for a living, in their acts, whether it be a Chappelle or Chris Rock or somebody, pretty much. I know Gabriel and Iglesias said something about Bush in one of his early, what was it, like, I'm not fat, I'm fluffy. I mean, but it was funny. But the thing is, I'm trying not to trip over my words here, but the way I see it is like this: there's a difference between somebody who's being funny. You can tell when somebody's being lighthearted. Like, even, what did they say? Behind every joke, there's some truth. But at the same time, you can tell when a person is telling jokes to, get a laugh, as opposed to telling a joke that's purposely hurtful. That's kind of how I always looked at Kevin Hart in his early specials. Like, I'm a grown little man, laugh at my pain, seriously funny. And then you compare that to like the Pimp Chronicles and basically Cat Williams' career in stand-up. Kevin Hart is corny and whatnot, but he's funny and his jokes are lighthearted. Even though some of them are a bit, over the top, they still make me laugh. But Cat Williams, he makes me laugh too. Like, I still rewatch some of his earlier stuff and listen to him on Spotify, and I get some laughs. But at the same time, some of his jokes are kind of like, yo, man, you must really hate the person you're talking about in the joke. So even though Roseanne tried to pass it off as a comedic thing, it's kind of like the same thing with Kathy Griffin. When you're in a position of that much popularity and whatnot as a celebrity, when you say stuff, tweet stuff, post stuff, that's going to have a bigger platform than a Joe Smo that might say the same thing in the comments of a YouTube video or Facebook post or on Twitter themselves. So Roseanne tweeting that wasn't a smart thing to do. Do I think the show should have been canceled? Let me just put it this way. I've said it before. I do feel bad for all the people that lost their jobs and whatnot. I mean, other people are just like, well, they should have known what they signed up for. DL Hughley did this amazing, I think it was like a 5-minute video on his YouTube channel, on his radio show, talking about the fact that ABC knew what they were getting when they hired Roseanne to revive the show. They wanted to cash in, during this whole racial tension that's going on in America now. I mean, there's always been racial tension, but it's like dialed up to like 15 right now. Roseanne has always been this kind of person. So, like the whole Hitler and then the burnt cookies representing Jews and then tweets and whatnot even before this. So Yeah, some people are even saying like they weren't surprised the show got canceled. They were waiting for it. Like they knew as soon as the show got revived, it's like, yep, it's only a matter of time now. So do I think the show being canceled was going too far? Not really. It kind of goes back to the whole sexual assault and allegation things. Like an allegation can like ruin somebody's career. Like even if they're found not guilty, they might be able to pick up the pieces, but it's never going to be the same as it was before. So yeah, that just shows you that in this world, in the world we live in today, you, especially if you're in a position of popularity or a celebrity or whatever, you got to be careful what you post now. It's just crazy. I mean, yeah, you could make the argument that people are being oversensitive, but there's a difference between people who are like overreacting versus people who have a legitimate reason because there's an injustice being done. But with that being said, you know, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Do you think ABC went too far when they canceled Roseanne? Do you think that this is just a prime example of, yeah, this is probably going to be happening in the near future to other people, kind of as a warning not to do what she did? And like I said before, 26, I'm single, but at the same time, it's like the events that are going on in the world today, or even in the past few years, I kind of shake my head at the fact that there might be a day where I have a kid of my own, and then, you know, they're in like, you know, middle school or 6th grade or whatever, and they bring home their homework. It's like, hey, Dad, can you help me with history? I have some questions about, you know, when Donald Trump was president, or, you know, when during the Me Too movement and stuff like that. It's just like, wow, I lived through the crazy age of, I guess you could say, easily offended people. It's just crazy. But yeah, let me know in the comments, are there any other newsworthy topics that have been hot in the couple weeks that you want me to go over? Somebody asked me to go over the Pusha T and Drake thing, the beef that they have. Maybe if Drake released a new track, I might share my thoughts on it, but to be honest, I really don't even follow much of modern music nowadays. So yeah, as always, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. I can't wait to get your comments below, get the conversation going, and I'll talk to you soon.